There's no denying it, the dog days of summer are in full effect on Lake Murray at the 2014 Forrest Wood Cup. Day 3 once again saw hot, slick conditions without a breath of wind. All week, the talk has been about fishing shallow and fishing deep. So how fitting is it that going into the final day of the Forrest Wood Cup, both camps are represented equally? Now leading the event is deepwater specialist Brent Ehrler, and behind him by just 3 ounces is the supreme bank burner himself, Bryan Thrift. The Forrest Wood Cup is about to reach the magic hour, the final day. It's what we all love in this sport, and no surprise to find Brent Ehrler in that position, and some pretty good magic happening out there for you today. I know you told me that went to some spots you've been fishing all week. Nothing. Get there today, and some fish show up.
You know, they did, and really the thing that helped me was catching a few early this morning. And every day it was just one here, one there, all the way up until about 1 o'clock before I finally caught my limit. And today I had my limit early, and I was able to kind of run around and fish with an open mind. And you know, I didn't want to hit the spots where I really felt like I could catch one. I kind of wanted to just run a pattern and try and fish the areas that looked good to me in practice, but I didn't actually catch them there. And I actually caught 3, decent ones that I ended up culling with off of spots that I literally did not get a bite in practice, but I waypointed it because there's something down there that looked right, and I was able to run that and catch a few. And I mean, I ran a bunch of it too and didn't get bites, but I ran a few, and it kind of helped me get those extra bites that help to do well in that tournament. You can kind of lay off the areas where you think you can catch them and kind of catch those ones that are random that you won't go back to on the final day.
There's got to be a special feeling that happens that when you see a place like that and you recognize its potential, and it might not come to fruition immediately, but you come back and visit, especially as late in a big event like this, and it verifies what you feel inside is what you thought ought to be the right kind of thing. That's only got to breed more success and more confidence.
I hope so. I feel great about the way the day went. I caught more keepers today than I have all week, and I actually laid off quite a few areas. And I don't know how many fish are down there. It seems like you catch one and you're done. So I don't know how many of the better areas I could go back to and actually catch fish. But there's 2 spots I haven't even been to yet, and there's 1 or 2 spots that I think still have fish on them that I've only fished once for a little bit. So I'm hoping that I can run that stuff tomorrow, because I was real fortunate this morning to catch a few early, and if I don't tomorrow, then I'm going to be scrambling. And if I can run those key areas and not have to kind of look for something new, I want to be able to pull up to a spot that I have a lot of confidence in and fish it the way I need to fish it, and hopefully get those fish in the boat. If I can catch a limit, then I can kind of start thinking open again.
I know what you're saying in terms of those areas, feeling good about them. Now, what about in terms of your bait lineup? Are you still spread out in terms of a lot of different baits, or have you gotten it kind of narrowed down now to where there's a few less rods on the deck?
I could go out with very few, but I've weighed in fish so far on probably 3 or 4 different baits. Okay. And I really feel like I need to have them out on the deck. And there's a few baits that I do have on the deck that I can leave, in the box tomorrow, until I really need it. There's stuff that I haven't caught them on, but I just felt like I needed it and make a few casts. But, if I can kind of really focus, every day I've kind of left stuff and looked for new stuff. And if I really focus on, I think, what I need to do and actually capitalize on it all day long, then hopefully I can catch 5, and hopefully they'll be the right 5.
It looks to me, from what a little bit I've seen of you this week too, a lot of your areas are really kind of close in proximity to each other. I think that could become in other words, you don't have somewhere way up the river you want to hit, and then some of these guys are running and gunning, they're burning a lot of gas and a lot of time. Your rotation seems to be pretty tight.
It has been, but it's because the better areas are, on one side of the lake, the other side of the lake. And the last 2 days, and I don't know how many gallons I burned today, but the last 2 days I've burned 25 gallons of gas, which is a lot considering I'm not fishing that far away from takeoff. Okay. And the problem with it is that I go to one side of the lake, the north shore, then I go to the south shore, and then I go to the north shore, and then I go in the back of that creek, and then I come out of that creek and go back down, and so it's a zigzag where the better spots are. But I have areas that I've been hitting, like today, that I didn't think were great. I didn't have bites, but I've kind of put them in rotation because I think the potential is there, until it actually paid off. A few of the places I had bites on. So, some of the places where I caught them today, I probably won't go to tomorrow. But it just depends on how the day goes. It really does. And the whole key for me is if I can catch a few early and relax. And if I relax, I'll think right, and I should catch them.
Bryan, so far in this tournament, we've seen guys come in with huge bags, and then the next day it doesn't work out for them. But you've just been grinding along, and now it's almost like you're due for your big bag, and that could happen on the final day of the Forrest Wood Cup.
I hope so. Yesterday I could have had about 13 or 14 again, and I think that's going to come back and haunt me unless I do catch a 20-pound bag. I think that's going to be the day that costs me this tournament if I catch them tomorrow and don't win. But it's a grind out there. I caught all my fish again today by 10:30, 11 o'clock. I mean, I'll be ready to weigh in every day by 12 if I had less.
You said you had one spot that had had a lot of 2-pounders that you can fill out a limit. Do you have to utilize that today or no?
No, I never went to it today. I stayed on the bank all day and caught everything. I weighed in on topwater again, and I mean, that's realistically, that's the only chance I have to win this tournament. I've got to get 5 big bites up shallow on topwater, and so far I've only been able to get 1 a day. That's a big fish. I mean, I've been able to fill a limit out up there too with 2-pounders and stuff, but I feel like I'm gonna have to catch 4 or 5 of those 3.5-pound plus fish.
Do you ever worry about running out of fish running the pattern that because we talked to some people? Do you think fishing shallow could go the distance for 4 days? A lot of guys say, I don't know, I think you'd run thin at some point, but it doesn't look like that's going to happen with you.
No, it doesn't look like that's happening at all. I thought it was getting a lot worse yesterday based on yesterday, because I got a lot fewer bites yesterday than I did the first day, but I got more bites today, and I seen more big fish today. I seen a couple 4s and a couple 5s today.
Okay.
And they wouldn't bite. They would follow my bait and not eat it. So I'm going to go fish for those tomorrow, and hopefully if I can get them all 5 to bite, it'll be a very good day. If not, I may have to go to my cranking hole and catch me 10 pounds.
Yeah, but in terms of confidence, in terms of going to the Forrest Wood Cup on the last day, seeing the fish that you saw, seeing that there's a 4, maybe 4.5 cruising around, you got to think about that at night when you go to bed the night before the fight. I mean, they're there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, they're there in the area somewhere, but the water's kind of a weird color. It's really hard to see much because you've got a little bit of short grass on the bottom, so you've only got short stretches of clean enough bottom where you could actually pick a fish out in. Like if you're fishing down a bank that's 100 yards long, there may be 10 little stretches that are 15 feet long where you could actually see good enough to see them far enough away to catch it. Okay. And it's to depend on sight fishing those cruisers. I think it's going to be hard to do this week. I know I haven't been able to do it. I haven't actually seen any cruising. Okay. All the ones I've seen have followed my bait out or something like that.
In terms of bait selection, do you have that narrowed down? I know you like to keep a lot of rods on the deck, 20, 25 rods, everything rotating through them. Have you narrowed that down? Do you have just a 2 or 3 bait rotation you're working with, or you still got stuff everywhere?
I've got rods everywhere, but I threw 2 rods all day today. So tomorrow I'm going to take a few rods off the deck and have a little more room to jump around.
Anthony, overall, looks like the bite a little bit better for Lake Murray this week. It looks like maybe picking up a little bit in terms of the bite.
Yeah, I think it was a little bit better today. When we left this morning, we had a little bit of some low clouds, kind of almost like a fog, and a little bit of breeze on top of that. And I figured that would probably help things because guys had been catching some in that morning window. And it appears that was the case. I think they caught them a little bit better today. I went to my spot that I had started on the first 2 days, with not a whole lot of confidence, but I had to go there anyway just because of what I had caught, and I never had a bite off of it, which I almost expected that. And so I left there, and I ran some new water today. I fished a little bit of shallow water this morning, and I did lose one big fish. I'm not 100% sure it was a bass. If it was a bass, it was a big one, but other than that, shallow bite for me has not really been that good. And I moved out and started fishing some of my offshore stuff, and I caught 4 keepers, not in probably about an hour and a half, 2 hours worth of time, and I'm going to say it was probably around 11:30 or so. I decided to leave the lower clear end and make a run up the river where I had caught my big one yesterday, and that way I could afford the fish. I could give myself more time and fish a little bit slower up there and fish some more spots. And I did. I got two good bites up there again today. I caught one that's probably pushing 5, and then another one maybe close to 3. Which, I mean, those were the 2 bites I needed, and it gave me a pretty good bag. But I don't know that I could go back up there and do that again. I fished pretty much everything I had, and I only got those 2 bites. And it's not really the type of thing that you're not going to go back to the same place you caught one out of a brush pile, which that's what they are. You're not going to go catch another one out of that same brush pile. And and seeing that I fished most everything I had up there and only had those 2 bites, I'm not sure I'll go up there tomorrow.
I overheard you in an interview the other day with somebody else saying something that I found interesting. You said that you don't feel like you're really one of those intuitive type of guys like some of these guys are out here. You're more of got more of a plan, more of an analyzer. Right. Yeah. Tomorrow, the final day of the Forrest Wood Cup, we always hear it's about gut, it's about instinct. I mean, where do you stand on that?
I mean, you're right. I mean, I tend to fish what I know and what I find, and there has been times when I've made some adjustments that work out, but then there's been a lot of other times when I've made some adjustments and it went the other direction. Some guys just have, I think, better natural instincts, and they're able to make an adjustment maybe quicker. And not that I maybe couldn't make that adjustment, but they're faster at it. Okay. And then maybe I wait too long, and by that time it's too late. But it's hard to say. I'll wait until I see the weights. I'll wait until I see the spread, and I'm realistic. And to me, if I honestly don't think that I can catch a big enough bag to win, then I'm going to do something that I feel like is going to catch me the biggest bag I can to move up, and finish the highest that I can. So I'm not going to risk, a chance for a 3rd place finish and try to catch this ginormous bag that's not in the cards and then wind up finishing 10th because of it. I don't do that. Okay. I want to make sure that I still finish up there as high as I can.
Scott, we've been running the Reeltime Report for a couple days. It's our first look at you this week, and wow, magical day, day 3, Forrest Wood Cup. Those are the kind of things you're looking for to make a cup win happen.
Yeah, it is. That's the kind of things that you got to have happen to win the cup. And it's just one of those things that's happened. I mean, I started this tournament the first 2 days running down fishing the clear water on the lower end, and I wasted, well, the first day I caught a 4-pounder, but I wasted about 7 hours doing that. And the first day, I didn't catch but 4 fish, and I hope it doesn't come back to burn me. But, it's been great. I mean, today was awesome. I didn't go down the lake. I didn't waste any time. I went straight off of my gut instinct where I wanted to go, and it was, I ran water that I'd never even been in my life today and caught fish. So, it's a deal that sort of developed as the tournament's gone on, and I figured it out a little bit yesterday and added a little more to it today. So, we'll just have to see. Hopefully I can go out there on day 4 and catch them. It'll be another one of those magical days, I hope.
We always talk about wins coming in the wheelhouse, guys doing things that they're extremely comfortable with, and I know the way you're fishing out there, shallow, covering water, a lot of moving baits. That's Scott Canterbury to a T.
It is really. But, later in the day when that sun comes out, I'm slowing down a lot. And I still move a lot, but I'm slowing down when I get to something. I've been able to get a few key bites every day on like a big jig, a big dirty jig. So, that was key today. I got a couple, or at least one big bite on it today. And, you got to know when to speed up, know when to slow down. And, I'm trying to cover as much water as I can, but I'm trying to cover it thoroughly. So, that's the key is that's one of the keys is covering as much water as I can and cover it thoroughly.
The cool video, Ion video on the internet today, the one you caught and then right after it, the one that misses and you throw the Cinco out those are the kind of magic moments that I think sometimes when those things happen, you might not know it at the time, but when looking back, that's just, tell us a little bit about that one too.
It's been magical. Last night I was sitting in the boat and, and I said, I don't have anything to back up a bait with because, they've been eating it pretty good. And I got some Cincos out of my truck last night and tied that hook on. I hadn't had it on all week. Laid it on the deck, and it just seemed to happen. It's one of those things that happens. The first day, it was I was up the river at 2 o'clock, and I didn't have but 2 fish. and I go to flip that big jig, and one hits it when I'm picking it up, and I set the hook, and my line breaks in my reel, and I catch my line before it goes through the guides, and I land a 2.5 pounder like that. So I mean, you know, you got to have stuff like that happen in one of these tournaments. That's a grind. You got to have things happen and things go your way, and hopefully I can keep it rolling.
Here's what I want to know. You had a really big day, and I know that you're trying to fish water that you haven't fished before. At one point today that you knew you had a decent bag in the well, did you spend any time just looking at water, evaluating? And I'm talking about like looking on plane, like giving up some fishing time just to look at water.
I most certainly did. I did today, and there's not a whole lot of places that fit what I'm really looking for. So, you know, I've got another 1 or 2 more places that I'm going to fish that I hadn't been to, but I didn't revisit anything today. I hadn't revisited anything that I've caught them in the past 3 or 4 days. So, you know, hopefully there'll be a fish or two in some of those places that I can pick up tomorrow, because I'm going to have to, I'm going to have to go back to some of that water that I fished earlier in the week, and hopefully I'll pick up 1 or 2.
Casey, all in all, looked like a little bit better of a fishing day, especially compared to day 2. The bite was on a little bit better for you guys. I know you just told me today, day 3 was about the best bite you've had so far this week.
It was, you know, and I knew it was leaving out this morning. You know, it was the weather's starting to get stable now. It's hot, slick in the mornings, you know, and today we had a little cloud cover in the mornings like you normally do in the summertime. You know, you get that extended morning bite, you know, due to cloud cover. It takes a while for the sun to burn all that off. But then, you know, once the clouds lifted today, the wind started blowing. So all those guys that are fishing out there chasing the schooling fish, that helped them too. But it never really got just, you know, hard, bright, sunny today. You know, there was a little bit of cloud lingering around all day long, which any sun kills the shallow bite, but it'll help that out there, you know, as long as the wind's blowing. But today, you know, with the extended morning, I knew everybody would catch them. You know, the big ones, it gives you time to run more water. So the more you can run, the better chance you got to catch a big one.
We've talked about this over and over again this week. You are dedicated shallow, I mean real shallow.
I am. You know, I'm fishing the bank. I'm throwing top water. That's all I'm doing. Today I kind of changed it up a little bit in the middle of the day and caught twice good fish. You know, tomorrow I might go out there and try some more of the same stuff.
Off the bank? You did move off the bank a little bit today?
Yeah, I caught one good one out of deep brush, and then I caught another one on the next cast. So I didn't start doing that till the last hour, so I didn't have very much time to run it. I hit one more place and caught one more that didn't help me any, but, you know, tomorrow I'm going to do my top water deal as long as I can, and then I may run some of that brush again.